1 second left.
Really?
LeBron James could have won the game with 3 seconds left.
So what's going on? What's going on with you guys?
Soul's goal size surprise.
Yeah, well, this is Life on a Mission. I'm here hanging out with the family and my boy Tevin. They decided to be on the show today. We're just going to kind of talk about life. And we finally got something recording the video. And so hopefully the video quality and sound quality will get better from there. But we were just talking about Avengers 4 and how Hugh Jackman is possibly in it. But I'm trying to I need to look up to see what.
Dude, he's going to be in it.
Before anything, we should probably introduce ourselves, say what we do.
Yeah,
Give
go
some
ahead and do
background
that. Go
story.
ahead and just one by one.
All right.
Yo, what's up? Tevin Banks, straight out of Paducah, Kentucky. And right now, I'm not doing anything, but I'm a college student about to transfer to UK next fall. So.
I'm Alex Harp. I'm Drew's first cousin on our mom's side. And I make videos. And I'm going to UK next semester with Tevin here. And yeah, that's about it recently. Projects I've been working on. I've been doing some videos with Jay Cutler, the bodybuilder, not the quarterback. Hoping to expand on that this summer. And,
He is the owner and CEO of Infused Visuals and Native Athletics, the
right.
clothing brand. I'll let
Yeah,
you plug your stuff.
Yeah, that's the other thing. Native Athletics is my athletic brand, so it's like lifestyle performance kind of stuff. Pretty cool. He's actually an investor in it. He's a 20% owner in Native, and so we're working together. It's my brother-in-law. So Cameron, let's get a little plug into your introduction here.
Well, thanks for that, Alex. My name's Cameron Looper, and I'm Drew's favorite cousin-in-law, his only cousin-in-law, so therefore I'm his favorite, and probably his most hated too. I got his cousin pregnant. We're having a baby, and having a little boy due in a couple weeks.
And his name's going to be Finn.
And his name's going to be Finn Thomas. He's going to be
Finn
great.
Thomas. Actually, that'll be pretty sick.
Dude, it's going to be dope.
We
Your
should
son-
hold him here during the podcast.
Yeah.
That'd be
Well,
really
like,
beneficial.
when he's going to be like 18 or something, if you see something like this will be kind of cool.
He'd be like,
Oh,
"Hey,
yeah.
Dad, that was pretty weird."
Like, Dad, you had hair back then. But
Almost.
come on, guys.
Almost. You were kind of in a Jason Statham phase.
Yeah, well,
right
hey,
now.
I'm trying to grow my facial hair out. If my facial hair didn't work out, son, you know why.
Yeah. There you go.
Okay, yeah, my name's Cameron. I'm an operations manager at a restoration company right now.
And 20% owner of Native.
And 20% owner of Native. And yeah, got my wife pregnant. We're getting ready to have a baby. And
Give me your background on theology.
oh yeah, so I go to Southern Seminary right now, studying to have an MDiv in Family and Discipleship Ministry.
Now, what is an MDiv?
Master of Divinity
Okay.
at Southern Seminary.
Cool.
It's a Baptist Theological Seminary in Louisville. Flagship, actually, the
And
Southern
it's
Baptist.
the largest seminary.
Yeah, in the United States. Actually, I think in the world, if I have my facts straight, but they talk about that a lot. Yeah, so I was in ministry, but Olivia and I obviously were expecting a baby. And I was a camp director, but now doing this, doing what we love. So back home, back around family, and getting ready to have a kid. So.
And so that's actually one of the reasons that I definitely want all of y'all on the show or the podcast or whatever, because we all live somewhat in the belt buckle of the Bible Belt, and you go to the largest seminary in the United States, at least, maybe in the world, but in this culture and in this community that we live in, even though we are pretty grounded in our faith and we have a good knowledge of the Bible and everything, and we grew up in Christian homes, and we had I went to a private Christian school. I had Bible class every day. You were homeschooled, Alex. Tevin, where did you go to school? You went to
Lone Oak and then McCracken.
Lone Oak, then McCracken, but you guys, we all are pretty well versed in the Bible, pretty much, and biblical theology. But there is just still so much that we don't know that is kind of the main reason that I have a podcast like this, is to get the different perspectives of other people, or to kind of talk about things that we wish that we knew, or just what we felt about the American church, or things that maybe, what our culture says we need to be doing as Christians, but then actually what the Bible says. And it's just I just admit to myself every day, because I went out to Italy for 2 months. There's just so much that I thought that I knew that I didn't know, and like that you just can't know until you go overseas and you're in the middle of all that. But I mean, I don't know. That's why I like having you guys on. That's why I like having other people on. But I don't know. I guess to kind of kick things off, like, where do you guys? I don't know how to put this question. But
And Cameron, jump in after me. But I think the whole point of Christianity is obviously it's a journey, it's a relationship. But I don't think we're ever going to get to a point where we know everything, obviously, and that's kind of the whole point, is you're constantly learning. And if we get to a point where we think that we know everything, then you're probably not at a good point, right?
Yeah.
So I think it's constantly just a journey of trying to learn more, and that's what it's all about in the end, is constantly learning more and getting closer to God, in the middle of that.
But like, and I guess I'll ask you this, like, because we've talked before, like, I'll have like different verses that I'll text you and ask you questions about, and be like, what are your thoughts on this? But like, we always kind of get to a point in the conversation where we kind of have to back off a little bit, because you talk about sometimes how we could literally like almost talk ourselves out of Christianity or something like that, like literally like twist our brains or rack our brains until like we just get so upset with trying to, I guess, like crack a code or whatever. But I don't know. I just always try to find like a way to extinguish misconceptions about Christianity. Like you said, it's about a relationship and everything, and it's about just growing with God and allowing God to like be in your heart and change your life and just help you to be like a better, well-rounded person. But I don't know. I feel like as far as the American church goes, I can't speak for any other church around the world. I think we have taken the Bible, and the American church right now has this problem of kind of making practicality and comfort a goal as far as like what our lives are supposed to be for Christianity. So like, everyone's trying to, like, a good Christian person goes to college, gets a degree, gets a good job, gets a good home, gets a good car, and gets a family, and then goes to church every week, and that's it. But I feel like we got to push it a little bit further. Like, we don't all have to be missionaries. We don't all have to be priests or anything like that. But there's more to like just like what's going on.
If you're comfortable, generally you're not growing.
Yeah.
So being in a state of uncomfortability generally means you're growing most of the time.
Mm-hmm.
And it's good to be comfortable with being uncomfortable, because then you're in a constant state of growth. Mm-hmm. Even though it doesn't feel good, once you get used to being uncomfortable, it ends up benefiting you in the long run.
Yeah. I think too, when you look at the American church, there's this, I don't know, looking historically what has happened over the past, I really honestly, I love Billy Graham. He's a great guy, and evangelism, what he's done. But really, since that surge of belief has happened, evangelicalism has taken a step back. And what I mean by that is, you look at like Sunday school, and look at how that was created to teach people how to read the Bible, but now it's more of a social club rather than a discipleship. And there's no really small groups in rural Christian communities, or really even in urban Christian communities. And so parents get into this idea of just dropping your child off at church, and that being the sole provider of their child's nourishment and their child's discipleship. I think that shift has to change immediately for the American church to take a different shift.
Yeah.
And I think that's probably what's wrong with America, is most parents now in this generation grew up having their parents drop them off at Sunday school, thinking that it was the pastor's job, who is the professional, quote unquote, of spirituality, to teach their kids what it means to be a Christian, rather than it being the parents' sole job. I mean, we see that within Scripture: train your child up in the ways of the Lord. And so I think that has taken a back seat in America. I mean, I know maybe 5, 10, maybe 15 families that I can see that are doing it biblically off the top of my head. And I go to a mega church in Paducah, you know, and so I definitely think that that's a problem in America today, and that Christianity that has been created could, in some form or fashion, be a pseudo-Christianity where people think that they are discipling in a way that is biblical, but in fact it's not, you know. I'm not saying that they're not saved. I'm not saying that. I just think that Christianity as a whole in America is shallow.
Yeah.
Very shallow.
Yeah.
So,
and I'd hate to kind of jump into that immediately, or into this immediately, but do you think, all three of you, I want to hear y'all's opinion, but do you guys think at all, do you think the American church is somewhat bending to political correctness in the culture nowadays? Do you think the reason that it's all kind of being so surface level and shallow is that, maybe I don't want to say immediately social justice warrior-y, but do you think the American church is more worried about not offending people than it is for kind of standing up for what is we're actually called to do or called to be?
I think that, yeah, maybe, but I think the biggest thing that gets in the way is tradition. A lot of times in churches, in churches that have a big tradition, I've always said that sometimes in churches and in anything really that tradition can kill the original concept. So what that means is, what they originally set out to do in a church, and traditions were built along with that are initially the traditions were built to help prolong the church, but there can be points where, years down the road that those traditions that they hold that don't change, or adapt to the times can end up killing the original concept, meaning that those traditions can steer you away from what you were originally trying to do. And I think that's what you see a lot of times in churches.
Yeah.
Is they're so focused on their traditions and maintaining that tradition that they forget the mission that we're really on.
Yeah.
They forget the reason that they're there, that they set out from the very beginning to do.
Yeah, man.
Cam, what do you got to say? Because I'm kind of curious.
yeah, I mean, I would echo what you just said, that I think that American church is so strong on what tradition is. I mean, you even see that in the first century church where Paul opposes Peter directly to his face, talking about traditions, and in the ways that...
Wasn't it over circumcision?
Yeah, it was over circumcision. So, I mean, obviously that was a big deal, Yeah. Especially in the Jewish Christian worldview, but Paul basically tells him in Galatians, I really think it's Galatians 2 or 3, dude, that's not necessary for salvation.
Is it necessary today? But I mean,
I'm not going to get in that conversation, but
I know it's
I think there's different health benefits for that. Yeah, for sure. But
I've heard it both ways, but I don't know enough about it to really have a stance. I just know that it's just what most people do.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I'm right there with you. I think tradition definitely kind of hinders the purpose. Just like Christmas or Easter nowadays, it's Santa Claus and the Easter Bunny, and people. Here's where I had a huge problem with exactly what you just said as far as tradition goes. I was talking to somebody the other day because Easter just happened, and I was talking to them about the Easter service that we have in my church, and telling them they should come. And I was asking them, I was like, do you go to church? And they were like, yeah. And I was like, well, we've got this Easter experience at Southeast. It's a huge thing. You should go to it. It's really cool. And we kind of got talking a little bit more. And I can't remember how exactly it got brought up. But that person who said they went to church didn't know that it was Jesus that died on the cross. He thought he was just another person in the Bible. He had no idea who the person was that was on the crucifix, hanging on the cross and everything. Mm-hmm. He thought that was just like a symbol for God. He had no idea that was what happened. And if he had if a census was taken in the United States, he would have marked down like he's a Christian. So it's like we've got that kind of surface level thing happening, and it's not that guy's fault, and it's not a ton of people's fault, but it's like there's like this responsibility and initiative that's not, I feel like, is not being taken up as much as it should be nowadays. And I feel like it's surface level and stuff, but like I've literally got people who like have told me that they're Christians, and I'll try to have a conversation with them just about this, and I'll learn that they've just completely have no idea, and they've like missed it. So I mean, yeah, I'm right there with you as far as the tradition goes, but I don't know. I want to figure out like what do you think it is that like maybe of our generation, like as millennials or whatever, like what do you think would have to happen with us to kind of like, I don't know.
To make a difference?
Yeah, to make a difference, I guess, to like kind of set the pace for being more intentional about it, especially in this day and age where, you know, that's just not the priority. Like, it's all about being comfortable or having a good job or whatever. Like, I don't know. That's where I kind of like get all twisted up, because I want to go, you know, build houses for orphans and widows, but you know, at the same time, I want to like tell other people, I'm like, this is a full life. You know, let's do this. But I don't know.
I think one thing that's been helpful or kind of revolutionary is the new kind of pastors almost that are, you know, like the Levi Lusko, Carl Lentz, Pastor West, those kind of guys who are kind of taking a new spin to it, and it might get some people uncomfortable. But like I was saying before, when you get uncomfortable, most of the time, I'm not going to say every time, but most of the time, means you're growing. And just because it's something different and you might not be comfortable with it at first doesn't mean it's not a good thing. So I think a lot of these new pastors, like I said, Levi Lusko, Carl Lentz, are taking a new approach to this kind of thing, making Christianity a little bit more relatable, and making it more personable to people to apply to their everyday lives. And I think that's really valuable and attractive to people who aren't necessarily, who kind of have an image in their mind that church is just kind of like old, you know, boring hymns kind of stuff. But these kind of people are kind of making it new and putting a new kind of look on Christianity in my mind. That's making it a lot more attractive to kids my age and kids a little older. And I think that's a big thing right now, at least that I've noticed, is pastors are starting to become more relatable, and I guess people would say cool. And that's something, I'm not saying it's everything, obviously, but being relatable and knowing
helps.
Knowing what, you know, people are struggling with and talking about that is really attractive. And I kind of see a movement happening with that kind of stuff, and it's pretty cool to see, because, you know, some people, I don't know, some people might think that people are starting to shy away from Christianity or are losing, you know, the drive or motivation to be a Christian every day. But like those kind of people are kind of what fire me up for seeing like the new group of, you know, Christians coming up.
Would you put Stephen Furtick in that group?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Do you guys follow
relatable.
Stephen Furtick on Instagram?
And I'm not saying like
a different topic for a different day.
That's,
I'm not saying that all of them are theologically sound or whatever. I'm not going to say that, but I just think that those kind of pastors that are high energy and relatable and talk about problems that people are struggling with every single day are helpful and kind of making a movement in Christianity. I love seeing it.
I would definitely agree with that.
Yeah.
I think
passion.
definitely in our generation, it's one thing that I have to see a change in is, I know I'm just going to say this, I'm the oldest one out of the four of us, but, you know, death to social media, you know, and I know that sounds crazy, but social media has this stigma to it that is really hard to explain, but yet I would argue that acceptance and desire and want, or the fear of missing out, has usurped the desire of money in our generation.
I'm right there with you.
You know, like that's like the number one thing that's most desired is just acceptance.
Yeah.
I think kind of our age group was we were kind of right at the cutoff to where like it just kind of happened like right as we got like as teenagers, I guess.
Yeah.
Were you guys in middle school when?
Probably middle school.
I was in college when it happened, you know. So
Yeah.
I mean,
So it's like I think we're right at the cutoff, but if you look at like these kids nowadays, where like that's where you put their lives, like they are literally plagued by like finding that acceptance on there, like Instagram
Yeah.
likes being like social currency and everything like that.
Yeah. I mean, it's always. I mean, everybody's always wanted acceptance from the beginning of time. That's just human nature. But
Yeah.
this thing right here, it magnifies it so much that you're on here constantly. And I'm not saying that social media is a bad thing, because I mean, like my business runs on social media, and there's good things that happen
You
on social
can
media.
use social
Yeah,
media for
yeah.
good things,
Right.
But-
just like anything else.
But
yeah.
everyday life, that it can destroy you. Like you can cause an addiction. Like it's proven that every time you get a text message or try to check it, you're releasing dopamine.
Yeah.
And it's proven that like you can get a real addiction to your cell phone, and people have dealt with it before when they put their phone down for 15 minutes, they almost feel like they're having a withdrawal. And I mean that's something that's real, that's happening.
Yeah.
And people are wanting acceptance, and they're getting on here, refreshing Instagram, and then get on Twitter, refresh Twitter, just hoping to get some kind of dopamine hit.
Yeah.
And it's like a drug. It can destroy somebody.
It's like it can be used just like you said in good ways, but it also like has a lot of bad ways. Like it's just like money. Like it's amoral until like you start using it for like the good reasons or the wrong reasons, and you're conducting your business on social media. That's how you like market your business. You can't put a commercial on television or something, but like there are children like my sister. She's a junior in high school right now, and she's got a great head on her shoulders. But it was because of social media that in the 5th grade, she like asked my mom if she could go on a diet because she was like looking at other girls. She wasn't even developed. Like she was a child, and she was 11. So like, yeah, I'm right there with you as far as just.
Gracie was 11 in the 5th grade.
Well, I was 11 in the 5th grade. No, she was 10 because I got held back. But no, so yeah, no, I'm right there with you. But
I just think definitely in our generation we see. I mean, I'm going back to the question that you asked, like what needs to change, and I would say that having this healthy balance and healthy outlook and perspective on how to conduct, or I mean, as Scripture tells you, conduct yourself in a manner worthy of the gospel. I would be the first to say that I'm addicted to my cell phone. And I'm addicted to the thing. I mean, that's why I've decided to delete Facebook off my phone. I mean, I still have Instagram. Still
not because of the
Snapchat.
data breach.
Not because of the data breach. Has nothing to do about that. But I mean, it's just a simple fact of I know that if I have 15, 20 minutes to kill, I'm on it for 45. Like
I feel that.
I've got other things I've got to do. But I think when it comes to that too, is that us as a generation have to have this healthy balance of, okay, am I putting my acceptance and my followers over my relationship with Christ?
Yeah.
And I think that majority, and this is a hypothetical statistic, I would say probably 9 out of 10 people would say that they value, if they were really gut-wrenchingly honest, if they could say, okay, you can have Christ or you can have all your social media platforms, they would probably choose their social media platforms because of the influence, the people being connected. Like there's a sense of connectedness that is just sweeping our generation. And so what probably needs to change is just to show the next generation that there is change, not a David Hogg change. This is a real change. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
that there can be some change behind what we have, but it has nothing to do with ourselves. It has 100% has to do with Christ.
Yeah.
Because one of two things that you have in our generation that I admire, you have either people that are totally opposing the gospel, or you have people who are radically on fire for it.
Yeah.
When you find those people who are in the middle, one of those two who are on the opposite spectrum is going to pull that person to the other side.
There's no lukewarm.
There's really no lukewarm in that, and then that's what I admire about it, is that we test everything. But when it comes to faith, we still test those things, but we don't ask questions that we can't comprehend. But when
Right.
we ask those comprehensions, that's when we're talking about that you can talk yourself out of anything.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
You guys, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say another tip for the phone, and I'm going to say this as I've checked my phone like 6 times during this podcast. But if you do struggle with that kind of stuff, and I've been trying to get myself to do this, obviously it hasn't worked if you've been watching me grab from my phone or whatever. But take a break from your phone. I mean, I'm not saying social media and your phones are a bad thing. Too much of anything can be a bad thing. But take a 30-minute break from your phone and reward yourself with it. Looking at it for 5 minutes after 30 minutes, that kind of stuff. Because if you develop that pattern, eventually you'll break the habit of constantly checking it, because it's almost like it is an addiction, and there's no doubt about it.
Who was it that said, I think it was Simon Sinek in one of his
Yeah, I love
talks, but he said if you check your phone the first thing in the morning, you have an addiction.
that. Yeah.
Like if you wake up and like you grab your phone and you look at your phone, you have an addiction.
And I guarantee 95% of people.
I have to. It's my alarm.
Yeah.
I will raise my hand to
Beside
that.
the
That's
alarm.
what no, but like I will. Very first thing I do is I grab my phone and I open up Instagram.
Yeah. I mean,
That's the very first thing I do.
something that you should.
For real?
I don't brush my
That's
teeth.
what I do.
don't take a shower. I open up Instagram.
I mean, that's exactly
my
what
Snapchat.
Yeah.
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 That's exactly what I do every morning. I mean, in the second that you break that addiction and you got to force yourself, it's kind of like forcing yourself to not hit the snooze button. It's going to be hard, but it's a habit worth breaking. So I've been trying to work on that exact same thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's funny you brought that up, because I've been working on, first thing I do when I wake up is open the devotional or the Bible, because I really think that the first thing your mind goes to when you wake up is kind of like it tells a lot about you, honestly. So I'm trying to develop that habit.
Yeah.
And forcing yourself to do something with repetition will form a habit. So
Yeah.
I'm trying to force myself to develop good habits and break the bad ones.
So like start your day off with a devotion or something.
Yeah,
like
or the Bible, just straight
Yeah.
into it.
Yeah.
Hit the alarm off, Bible.
Yeah.
And form a habit and force yourself to form a habit, because I mean people underestimate the power of your mind and what it can do. And you might have bad habits, but I think people are kind of lazy when it comes to procrastination and forming habits. So force yourself to form a habit. It's not that hard. It takes time, but every good thing in life takes time. So force yourself to break a habit and then force yourself to learn a new one, and you will thank yourself later. I promise you that.
I always think to myself with something like that, like there are two dogs in our soul, like fighting at all times. And one of them is God, and the other one is your human nature. And it's whichever one you feed the most
Yeah.
is going to end up winning
Yeah, that's true.
in that fight. It's going to be able to keep that other dog down. So if you end up just kind of, like you just said, just read the Bible, like force yourself into something little by little, and it gets easier because that dog starts winning more and more and more, and then you can extinguish the negative parts of your human nature to be able to develop into something better. But exactly, I'm right there with you. But I saw this thing the other day. One of my friends from a mission trip that I went on, Cody, had sent me this video because I watch Black Mirror, and I was talking about this with Olivia this morning. Do you guys watch Black Mirror?
I've watched like a couple episodes, but I don't really understand.
Did
like,
you?
any of it.
Okay, well, so the thing about Black Mirror is that there's always like a moral to the story, and there's this like overall message about it. Did you see the social media one?
Or like
The stars, where you swiped up. Did you watch that one?
with the girl in it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll explain this episode. That episode, the society, like they all had like this ranking system on their phone, and if you did something good, like if you did something that people liked or something, or you were popular, people would swipe up on you, and they'd give you like stars, and you had a 5, like you were ranked like out of 5 stars, and like high class people were like 4.0 to like 4.8, and lower class people were like 3.0 to like 2.0 or something like that, and then just the complete unacceptable people were like 1.0 or like lower.
Right.
It's basically GPAs.
It was a social ranking system, and China is actually doing that now.
Are you serious?
My friend Cody sent me a video, and you get 100 points in the system, and it's the craziest thing ever, and I'll have to send you guys a video. But basically, like China in this one city has registered all of the citizens that live there, and they all have 100 points. And if you clean up trash, or you say something nice about the country on social media, or you're like just a good citizen to other people, you gain points. And as that happens, just like in Black Mirror, you get better privileges. You get to fly first class in planes. You get to have free gym memberships. You get to eat at certain restaurants. If you don't do good stuff like cancel reservations, or like you even socialize with people of a lower ranking, your rank goes down, and then you lose privileges.
So lower ranked people pretty much are in a hole that they can't get out of.
Yes, exactly. And it's
But everybody
actually-
starts at the bottom, right?
No, everyone starts with 100 points, and 100 points is the average. And I think you can, I don't know, like
So
you
you're saying
can.
it's a bad thing or a good thing?
Oh, it's a terrible thing.
Oh yeah.
Well, I would say it's a
definitely.
terrible thing because it's.
How are
I
you
mean,
going
like,
to connect with people that are like in the eyes of other people like so degrading? And you
Yeah.
can't like if they don't know Jesus, how?
How
I
can
mean,
you reach to that level?
Like you
Right.
have
If you-
to be fake,
Right.
like the whole time.
But what's
And
different?
Like you would, like it makes you want to like do better things and like be a better person. But let's say like with
But all the
I think
lower
it's for
class
the
people
wrong
would have to do
intentions.
is just do good deeds.
Right.
And
But
But
I think all
the-
of it is just worldly deeds that make you
Yeah.
seem like a better person.
yeah, you're probably right.
yeah, but it's like those like upper class people can't socialize with the lower class people.
Yeah.
Their points will literally go down if they are caught socializing with like the lower point people. And that's like the most terrifying thing to me. That's like literally like with Instagram or with Facebook, like that's how far it's gone in China already. And like it's gonna build into that, like if that I don't know what'll I don't know what I'll do if that like ends up over here.
Sure.
Just be a
Like,
cool
There's no
person.
way.
Nothing to worry about. Just gotta be a cool person.
I mean, I feel like I am, but I feel like, you know, this day and age, if somebody just blasts you on social media for no reason,
have dance offs on Instagram Live.
right?
Yeah, because
Let's
that sells
go.
everything.
But it's
Guys,
like
the Yankees just lost.
Oh, for
Bro.
real? So you just kind of...
you're a
Little
huge
slump.
Yankees fan.
Dude, all rise for the judge, dude.
That's ridiculous.
just took a turn for the worst here.
How long have you been a Yankees fan?
Since the third grade.
Really?
That's what they
No
all say.
lie.
You've never been to a Yankees game though.
I've never been to New York. New York. New York.
New York. New York.
What is
I've
it?
never been north of Cincinnati, actually.
What?
That's crazy.
Sounds to me like you're not a true fan.
Jeez.
I don't think I have either.
I mean, I've been to Chicago, but I've never been like north, like
That's
north-
literally
Right,
north of
yeah.
Cincinnati. But
talking like northeast, Drew.
Anyways,
northeast.
let's get back to our topics here.
All right, what's
Well,
the
I
next
mean, we
question?
can talk
Next
about
question.
anything.
Let's switch up topics here. Off social media.
Mine-
But
Cats.
honestly, I don't
Why
see
are
that
they?
continuing like all over the world.
Yeah,
like
no
you're talking
way.
about.
That sounds more like a movie.
Yeah.
I mean, it might
But
have
that's
in
like
China.
so that's 100% a real thing going on.
It's currently they're like doing it in
Is it
like
like
one
a
of the
test
cities.
run?
I would imagine
Bro,
so.
you have to
That's
remember
what I
lots of
heard.
weird things happen in China that
Yeah.
don't go to the rest of the world.
Yeah,
China's a
they'll-
weird place. Well, can be. Shout out to our China viewers if y'all are listening. I love y'all. Don't kill me.
what the
I love
heck?
all Chinese people. I just want you to know that.
Especially Jimmy
I
and
have,
Sky.
I have Chinese exchange students.
So you're good
at
to
my
go.
house,
I love
so
ham
I'm
fried rice,
really good.
I'm
kung
Asian,
pao
I'm
chicken,
Japanese.
sweet and sour chicken.
Orange chicken.
Tokyo, how about or no?
That's way
Japanese.
too.
Whoa,
He's
that's
definitely
Japanese.
not- Definitely
All
not
right,
in the
Drew
night.
has been cut off from the Chinese nation.
My bad. My bad. That's
Yeah, you just
definitely-
went from like a 4 to 0 star.
That's yes. God, that's definitely one thing you don't want to do. Is apparently that's like a big deal. Like you don't mix up like Chinese people with Japanese people or Korean people. Like
Have them explain it to you.
I don't
I'm
even.
not going to explain it because
Yeah.
I've done that before.
Next.
Well, yeah, no, this is different.
All right, Cam, you give us a topic of something that's in America that's troubling.
That's troubling.
What troubles you about America?
What
right
troubles
now?
And this
Or
comes
so.
from a previous children's pastor, and what else did you do at Heartland?
I was just
Associate.
a children's ministry associate.
So he's seen all walks of life in his time of ministry. So go ahead and give us something, Cam.
What's something that's troubling to my soul?
Well, think about it this way: you're about to bring a child into this world. If you could change anything about this world right now, something that we are all doing that we have that like could easily be fixed, maybe.
Oh, dude, 100% I get rid of social media.
Really?
100%.
I wouldn't want my kids having social media. I mean, obviously there's benefits, but the benefits don't outweigh the
Benefits.
You know how many how many
So bad.
terrible things have succumbed because of social media.
Oh, yeah.
Kids committing suicide, kids eating
Oh.
freaking Tide Pods. Who in the world thought it was a great idea to eat Tide Pods?
Kids eating Tide.
Have you heard of the new craze? I'm not even going to talk about it because it's explicit.
No, what's
they
the new
take
craze?
these things and try to snort them through their nose.
Oh,
And, dude,
my
that is
gosh.
the most ridiculous thing.
No,
And
we
they can
can-
get lodged in your throat.
We can
Like,
talk about it. It doesn't matter. It's
Okay,
not,
well,
it's
kids-
not some PG thing.
Kids
like-
will take condoms and
Yeah.
snort them up their nose and try to get them to come out their throats because go through that
so
canal and
so
throw
they'll
them out.
they'll take a
right?
condom, they'll snort it up their nasal cavity, reach into the back of their throat, and they'll grab the other end, and then they'll have it just like that to where like they can just pull it like a string.
Okay.
I'd
I've
snort
been
it
out
and
of
I would get
school.
stuck in my nose for the rest of my life. Probably.
Yeah.
Probably. I've been out of school for, 2018? 8 years.
8 years.
Okay, so that's, if you do rounds, that's 2 rounds of people that have went through high school since I've been in high school. That's kind of crazy. But never in a million years would I try to eat a Tide Pod or snort a condom. That would never happen.
That
you know?
sounds like some dumb insult that a middle schooler would say. Like,
yeah,
why don't
did
you
you go to the condom
Go
one
snort a
time?
condom, bro. Like,
This conversation has escalated very quickly.
why don't you go eat a Tide Pod?
If you guys are just now tuning in, I promise we have a lot more to offer than this right here. But
Yeah. No, I mean, it's whatever, but
What's got to go through your mind to just make you want to do that?
a condom
yeah.
will go through your.
All right,
Oh my
dad
gosh.
jokes by Alex Hart.
No, but if you
Physically
actually
go through
think
your
about
mind.
it, like, I mean, you can kind of chalk it up to, social media, but it's like, it's also just a culture thing. It's like, that's happening, people see it, and it's these kids that are doing it, but it's like, where are the parents? Like, where are the parents involved? And I'm not like sitting there, I'm like, oh, parents need to get involved. But like, obviously, you can't go and unplug Facebook or unplug Instagram. You
No.
can't go tell Mark Zuckerberg that he's got to shut it all down. So
Stop making $1 billion a year and shut down.
right, exactly. So as for you though, for your son, what do you think you'll do as far as like conducting? If like when will you let him have a phone? When or if will you let him have social media?
Yeah.
And if so, like what?
Yeah.
Like for you, like what would you say?
Well,
as brand?
I definitely think that one thing that is that's kind of an elephant in the room when it comes to internet, like the pornography has become a huge issue, not only in America but in the entire world. It's a industry that surpasses MLB, NBA, and NFL, and NHL, and the MLC or MLS combined
annual profits.
annual profits in 1 year is what the porn industry has pulled in.
all those
all
major
those
leagues.
combined, and so you got to imagine how big that industry is. And I read an article not too long ago that the porn industry has tried their best to start infiltrating kids as young as 7 years old. So you got to imagine that's a second or third grader.
Wow.
And so if you have a parent who is not present in their child's internet usage or is blocking some things, the porn industry will do everything they can to captivate that child's mind at that age. And so
crazy.
I definitely think, so when it comes to Finn, like, I mean, Olivia and I have been talking about this for a while, like, what do we do? And I think that, her family has done a really good job at kind of regulating when children should get get an iPod and then get
Yeah.
social media. And if I have it correctly, like, they don't get an iPod to what, 12, 13, is that right,
I think
Alex?
13,
so 12 or 13. And
Wow.
Ella just got her Instagram when she was 12, and so I think that's an acceptable age for someone to get a social media that's
Shoot.
definitely regulated,
I might wait for my
But-
kids to be even older.
dude.
My
But then at the
social
same
media
time,
experience.
like, you wanna ask, like, when it comes to, like, I'm thinking of kids that are younger than that. Like, I look around and I mean going out to eat with my bosses and seeing their kids and my nephews and my niece, and or my nephew and my niece and seeing like how just infatuated they are with technology.
Yeah.
Like you rip technology away from them, it's like they go through this crack cocaine addict type syndrome. Yeah, Logan freaks out. But
Well, you ever see parents nowadays, like if you're at a restaurant, like at Outback or something, like usually like parents are like back in the day would be like playing with the kid or like giving them a toy to play with or something. Now
giving
they just
them
have
a
an
crayon and
iPad.
allowing them to create something, you know.
Now they just
it's
have an iPad and like throw it in their face.
watch
and,
Paw Patrol.
Yeah, exactly.
And I am obviously the least credited to say this. I have the least credentials to be able to say this. But parents, it is okay to tell your kids no. That is a big thing, and I believe that if you just, I think a lot of them are scared too, and they know that handing them a phone is going to fix them crying, but long term it's not.
Yeah.
So I have no reason to be saying this because I'm obviously not a parent, but I've just observed that a lot of parents don't say no, and if you start saying no now, it'll be a lot easier for the kid in the future.
Parents, it is not child abuse if you whoop the fire out of your child. If I see you in supermarket, I will let you use my knee to bend that child over and whoop them. Do it.
That might have been too far.
It's called self-respect.
No, though, like that was the cutoff. Like for us, like we all got spanked or anything growing up, and now like you don't see that because
My grandparents left whelps on me.
I didn't get much of wealth. I wore 7 pairs of underwear when I knew it was coming.
Yeah.
If the CBC found out
Did you
about
really?
Play smarter, not harder,
He
baby.
actually wore multiple pairs of underwear. When
Play
he
harder,
was
not
spanked.
smarter. No, play
That's
smarter.
actually really smart.
No, it was genius. And I
outsmart the whoopings.
I would fake cry and everything, man.
My mom had a wooden spoon that had a hole in it for aerodynamics. So she could like literally
They
less
just make them
wind
like that.
resistance.
It's not
Yeah,
like she
I
just
know.
ordered from spank.com.
Well, no, it's like she saw
Like, oh, yeah,
this
this is a
one and
good
she's like, "Oh, there's a hole in it. There's less wind resistance." There you go. That's perfect. That's perfect. But now I can literally swat the fire out of my child. But I don't know. I know self-respect now.
So how long is this
laughing?
How long is this gonna go for?
It's gonna go on forever.
So has this been about an hour so
How
far?
long has this been?
I don't know. Let me check.
Is the audio?
42 minutes. I usually do an hour or so.
Let's go ahead and start wrapping it up.
Let's wrap it up and let's do another one.
You want to wrap it up and do
And
another?
then let's have a
episode?
forum on what we're gonna talk about.
Okay, cool. We can actually make this just like one episode, and then we can.
This
have
is
an
a
episode
bonus
part two.
mailbag of whatever we want to talk to.
This is just.
You're watching Life on Mission.
Where we talk about condoms.
I think we'll actually wrap it up.
Yeah, we'll go ahead and wrap it up. No pun intended.
All right, cool. Thanks.
All right, that is
Nice. All right, we're actually wrapping it up. Thanks for listening. Fun.